All right. Today's segment, we are going to look at withholding tax return, DT 2006. Most of the clients that are going to come to you, who are going to hire your agency, most cases will have this kind of tax to manage withholding. We find that most of the clients at least have transactions where tax has been withheld or where they have withheld the tax. So either way, you will have to manage those transactions or the tax resulting from those transactions, and of course support your clients on how to file the return. So in this training, we are going to look at what withholding is all about. We're supposed to withhold. How can you get the exemption? And how can we file the return? So basically, that is our overview. We shall be looking at the purpose of the return, DT 2006. We shall be looking at the scope of withholding tax. We shall be looking at the modules of withholding tax. As I've mentioned, the return submission procedure. So what is this DT 2006? The DT 2006, the withholding tax return form, is what the taxpayer will use in regard to the tax withheld at source from the payments they make to either the consultants they have hired, suppliers of inputs to the business, or the service providers they have hired during the period under review. These can be individuals like you and me, or non-individuals like companies. So we are saying that the DT 2006 is the self-assessment form used by the individuals and non-individuals to declare the tax they have withheld, and this must be done within 15 days from the end of the month for which the taxpayer withheld the tax. So, what is the scope of WHT withholding tax? Here we're saying that when it comes to withholding tax, the tax law specifies the persons who are required to withhold. The tax law designates persons who are required to withhold the tax, as well as those upon whom the tax should be imposed, depending on the nature of the transaction. Depending on the nature of the transaction. The tax is deducted at source by the withholding agent at the point where the withholding agent is making a payment to another person. So that's the point at which the withholding happens. So as you're writing the check to the service provider, to the supplier, or to the consultant, you also write a check to URA at the same time of the percentage that has been withheld. So that's why we talk about withholding at source. So who is this withholding agent? Can I withhold as and when I want? Or there is a criteria I'm supposed to follow? So on the slide, you are saying that the withholding agent is the person making that payment. The withholding agent is the person making the payment and is obliged to withhold tax. Their mandate to to withhold is enshrined in the tax law. They have been designated as withholding agents, so they can withhold. The person receiving the payment is the payee, and the payee can be either a consultant earning a professional fee. It can be a supplier who had made supplies to the business, like they could have supplied stationery to the business, or it can even be a service provider, such as a cleaning company. Those companies that clean your business could be a cleaning company. It could be a legal firm. It could be an audit firm that has offered services to the company. So the withholding takes place on the transaction. So the question is, who are those persons required to register as withholding agents? Who are those persons required to register? We are saying that the following entities or persons are required to register as withholding agents by law. 1, government institutions and ministries. Okay. Let me just correct something here. So government institutions and ministries by law are required to register. Actually, they are designated as withholding agents. Local governments are designated as withholding agents. Entities registered for VAT, value added tax, shall be looking at value added tax ahead of our training. Large taxpayers and corporate organizations making payments subject to withholding tax. It could be a school. It could be a bank, financial institution, where we believe that transactions are going to happen where withholding is supposed to be done. Then other persons, entities as determined by URA or by the tax law will also be required to register as withholding agents. So by default, you'll find that these will always withhold. You make a supply, you have to know that these guys are going to withhold from you, especially the government. If you have a client who has made a supply to the government, they are designated withholding agents. Next, how can I be eligible to register? Eligibility to register as withholding agent. Clients may come to you and they want to be registered as withholding agent. There are advantages, as we are going to see. So before registration, ensure you have the following. Of course, a tax identification number for the business or the individual, certificate of incorporation for companies, trading license or business registration documents, memorandum and articles of association for companies, national ID passport for individuals, proof of physical address, like a utility bill or a rental agreement. So the people that are required to register, or the withholding agents, usually you don't question their businesses when it comes to the way they run their businesses. They are very clean and smart, authentic. So before you register a client or register yourself as a withholding agents, you must have these. And then we are saying that when you want to be registered as a withholding agent, the procedure is quite simple. You go to the URA portal, log in using your TIN and password. I'm going to show you that practically here. Under the e-services menu, select registration. Then within the amendment section, click on update TIN information. Select withholding tax, then you submit. So what are we doing here? We are amending your registration details to include withholding tax. However, you can still do it from the onset when you're registering the client for taxes. So you can also register as a withholding agent during the initial TIN registration process. It can also happen there. So that you also select withholding, because automatically you fall in that category. You have transactions where you need to withhold. So when you submit, URA will review your application, and if it is approved, they will designate you as a withholding agent. You will receive a notification of approval via your registered email or portal account. You're going to see that. So, if I am designated, what are my responsibilities? As a withholding agent, you are expected to deduct withholding tax at the time of payment to the supplier. You are expected to remit the deducted tax to URA within 15 days after the end of the month in which the deduction was made. You are required to issue a withholding tax certificate to the payee for tax credit purposes. This physical document is needed to claim a credit by the payee, because withholding tax is basically tax that has been paid in advance. You're supposed to file monthly returns. Don't forget, as you're doing payee, you also do the withholding tax return via the URA portal. I'm going to be showing you how you'll be doing that. So those are your responsibilities as a withholding agent. If you fail to comply, then there are penalties for late payment or non-remittance, interest on unpaid withholding tax, legal action by URA, and also knocking you off the withholding tax agent list, which is not a good thing. So you must comply if you have registered. So what are those transactions that we are going to withhold the given rates? So that takes us into the withholding modules. Transaction number 1 is the payee. This one. That's the first transaction. So at this point, I'm informing you that all employers are designated withholding agents when it comes to payee. They are supposed to withhold on a monthly basis from the payments they make to employees following the pay system. So the withholding agent on that transaction is the employer, whereas the payee is the taxpayer, the employee. Then number 2, resident professionals. I've talked about these ones, people that are providing professional fees or management fees, like the consultants. We also have these motivational speakers these days. Those are professional fees. Guys providing legal advice, auditors, all those transactions. The withholding agent is the person receiving the service, the resident person, and the rate is 6%. The rate is 6%. Foreign entertainers and sports persons. These ones provide entertainment to Ugandans through the promoters or agents. Before they are paid, you're supposed to make sure you withhold 15%. Resident persons receiving interest. This one is the case of banks. The rate is 15%. If you're receiving interest from a resident person. Then we have non-resident contractors or professionals. This one I've just been handling today. A Kenyan lawyer, a Kenyan lawyer was actually shocked that 15% has touched his money. We told him, yes, section, we had even fought for the guy, the section and also the schedule. So section 85 of the Income Tax Act requires that if you hire a Kenyan lawyer, a Kenyan auditor, a Kenyan motivational speaker, a Kenyan consultant, you know, before you pay them, remove 15%. That's the rate. Get 15%. So if you're paying them, let's say 1 million, deduct 150,000 from the 1 million, and then you pay the balance. The 150 is the final tax. This Kenyan does not pay any other tax in Uganda. So these are what we call the Ugandan source service contracts. The Ugandan source service contracts. Then we have those receiving dividends. The rate is between 10 and 15. So if your company has those shareholders and you've been paying them, there's a company I was auditing and they told me that we didn't know. We pay our shareholders. It's a private company. It's a family business, and they have been paying the owners, the family members, the dad, the mother, the children, who are those ones are on the board. They are the ones they take as the shareholders. So they said, how do we best reward these shareholders? Because you can't pay them a salary, they are not working for the company. So they said, okay, now what we are going to do, we are going to pay these family members. So the father, the mother, the children, who are the shareholder owners of the company, received that dividend, but they were not deducting 15%. I told them this is a very big mistake. Very big mistake that you have been making, but let us not continue. Let us do the right thing. So as I speak, we have gone 3 months. They are deducting 15%. Yeah, you get the point. They're deducting 15%. Actually, their initial understanding was that um, as board members, as owners of this business, as the family, let's not receive a salary. Let's just receive a dividend because a dividend is not taxable. That's what they thought. So I told them, no, doesn't work like that. There's a 15%. And because their company is not listed on the Uganda Securities Exchange, they are taxed at a higher rate of 15. If the company was listed on the Uganda Securities Exchange, they would only suffer 10%. So the likes of MTN, so shareholders of MTN, Airtel, Uganda Clays, BAT, those ones which are listed on the Uganda Securities Exchange, the shareholders, as they are receiving their money, the resident company like Vision Group, which is paying its shareholders, it deducts from each of those payments 10%, 10%, 10%, and that money goes to URA. Then we have resident suppliers. These guys who are supplying stationery, um, computers, furniture, cleaning materials, name it all. Payment received in excess of 1 million, you must deduct 6%. Okay, you must deduct 6%. Aha, I think that one you already knew. Then the non-resident persons, international payments. Actually, I've already talked about this. The management fees, royalties, natural resource payments, rental income, interest. If you have a money lender from Zambia or South Africa, you're paying them interest, deduct 15%. If you have brought a motivational speaker from South Africa, you're paying them, deduct 15%. Royalties, YouTube channel. Someone is maybe in the UK and you want to advertise on their YouTube channel. Before you pay them for advertising on their YouTube channel, deduct 15%. That is how it works. International payments. Okay. So very many people don't know, they just keep on paying, they keep paying, not knowing that they are supposed to deduct 15%. I'm going to show you the point where URA gets to know. Because some people may ask now, how will URA get to know? How will they know? Assuming I do it and they get to know. It's very easy. It is even open. Anybody can see it. I'll be showing you how they get to know. Okay, how they really get it. All these things are connected. The minute you have a transaction, okay, I can even reveal. How do they get to know? When you make a payment, let's say you've brought in a motivational speaker from South Africa and you pay them, let's say 10 million. Okay, you pay them 10 million. That is an expenditure to the business. Now, when it comes to the time of determining your profits, you're showing URA, your incomes and expenses. Of course, that payment, that management fee, that royalty you've paid will be showing in the expenses. And that's going to be the catch point. They will ask you, did you withhold tax from this payment? We are seeing a 10 million you paid to a South African professional. Did you deduct withholding tax? No. Uh-huh. So that's the point where they will get you. So you have to be careful. Very, very careful. Each transaction that you enter into the return, you must scrutinize it to ensure that there is no tax you forgot to deduct. Then the importers. We shall be talking about customs. We have another cohort, customs. We shall be talking about customs. Those, especially those who want to further elevate your knowledge on tax. We shall be going through customs. What happens at customs? What do people bring in? Furniture, motor vehicles, warehousing, bonds. A lot of stuff is in there. But the major thing is on withholding. If I'm bringing in my vehicle, do I pay withholding tax? Yes. 6% on the CIF value. We shall be doing the evaluation. I'll be showing you. You can even, before you import your vehicle, you can do it just where you are. You look at the import duty, excise duty. There's nothing that is theoretical that you just need to cram this. No, everything is on paper. You can know that if I'm importing furniture for my home, these are the taxes. And they are there. You can calculate just on your Excel sheet. If I'm importing motor vehicle, plant and machinery, if I'm importing liquid, some liquid or alcohol, something, what are the taxes? Everything is there. I'll be showing you. So you can know, so that by the time you're going through customs, you know what is taxable, what is exempt. Then insurance, we are seeing these insurance brokers and advertising agents. The commission they earn comes with 10%. Before you pay the commission, this insurance company will deduct 10%, which is withholding tax. Lotteries and gaming. Some of you may want to also serve people that are in betting, gaming. We have the Lotteries and Gamings Act of 2016, which stipulates the taxes payable on winnings of betting or gaming. So before you pay the person who has won, the winner of the gaming and betting, before you make the payment, remove 15% for URA. And then, of course, as we shall be going through, the return is a weekly one. Every Wednesday of the week, you must file the return. Actually, there's money in this sports betting. If you can get some 3-4 clients on sports betting, you're already busy. Those of you who are saying that, I'm not employed and I don't have, there's a lot of work. If you know taxation, you can't finish the work. You can't. You can just clean up your LinkedIn page, clean up your Facebook page, Twitter, continue to post, continue to post. That's where people are going to find you. You don't need to do an advert. Don't. Just clean up your socials, post, just keep on posting. keep on posting. People will find you there. A gaming, sports betting company will find you. How much? I want a return. I've been doing this. My guy has left. I need to do a weekly return. Can you do it for me? Then you say, yes, let me visit your business and we talk. So there's a lot of work in tax, a lot of work. So these guys are doing it on a weekly basis, 15% withholding tax comes in. Then we have these agents, these mobile money agents, distributors of airtime, payphones, and all that. Again, 10%. 10%. They earn a commission. These people who sell airtime, they earn a commission on the airtime. Mobile money, those transactions, those transactions, before they are paid their commission, 10% withholding tax. So it's a long list I'm going to be showing you on the return, but these are the most common ones, some of those that you're going to find clients want you to help them manage. So that takes us into withholding tax as a final tax. Now, as I've mentioned, withholding tax is tax you paid in advance. However, for some payments, the withholding tax is considered to be final. Like now, like on pay, and also professional fees. I talked about the Kenyan guy that was paid to and was complaining, why have you removed 15%? Where does it state? So we had to show the guy, this is the, the law, section 85. Just clearly, everything is on paper. There's no cram work or just we are working within the law. And the guy appreciated. Okay. So that's why you're removing 15. Yes. Was expecting more money. I think he already had a budget. So when the EFT hit his account, he started complaining. Why is my money less? So we had to show the guy, your money is subject to 15% withholding tax. But for his case, that's the final tax. We did not tax it further. Similarly, pay as you earn, the pay rate's final. But in other cases, it is not final. It is simply what you have paid in advance. Now, like for consultants who are supposed to pay tax at 30%. So it means that out of the 30% you're supposed to pay, you have advanced your at 15. That's why it is important that you always collect those tax certificates because they're going to help you make that claim. Otherwise, your URA will still tax you 30%. Yet you pay the 15 somewhere. You get it? So you must keep the records so that you don't get double taxed. Okay, so withholding tax exemption. Are there transactions where withholding does not happen? The answer is yes. Transactions are there. Certain payments are exempt from withholding tax. That's why you must be in the know. Don't just cram that everything. There's some people who just do it like that. Every time they are paying, they withhold. They are withholding sick just. So certain payments are exempt, like payments to entities exempted by law. If I'm an exempt organization or withholding exempt taxpayer, you're not supposed to withhold. Then if you are not a withholding, be careful. There are some people who will withhold 15% or 6% from your payment, yet they are not classified as withholding agents. You see that? They will withhold and keep quiet. They will not tell you URA and they will take that money. So that is cheating you. If you're supposed to get 10 million, someone takes 1.5. That is, he has cheated on you. So payments by individuals not classified as withholding agents are not supposed to be deducted. Payments to entities like NGOs, you're not supposed to because they have a tax exempt status. Then also, withholding exempt taxpayers, you're not supposed to withhold from them. They must come to you and, present their exemption certificate. And their invoices must be stamped withholding tax exempt. I think I'm supposed to share. I'll get that invoice. I think I have some invoices here. I can scan and share with you so that, someone tells you in advance, or you must tell someone in advance that I am a withholding exempt taxpayer. Do not touch my money. Okay? Do not touch my money. So, how do I help a client get into this category, withholding exempt taxpayer? So we are saying that a withholding exempt taxpayer is an entity or individual exempted by URA from being subjected to withholding tax on payments for goods or services. This exemption is granted because the taxpayer is considered compliant. They regularly file their tax returns, they pay their taxes on time, and they meet other specified criteria. So they are really, like I mentioned, clean. So who is eligible? Entities or individuals eligible for exemption typically include taxpayers with a clean tax compliance record, non-governmental organizations or entities exempted by specific laws or agreements, entities that make regular payments but meet all the tax obligations promptly, persons, entities exempted by international agreements like embassies or certain donor-funded projects. They are tax exempt when it comes to withholding. Compliance with the tax obligations. Why is this important? Compliance is important because a taxpayer is considered to be clean. So a taxpayer must ensure that they comply with the tax obligations to become eligible for withholding tax exemption. Please ensure that you have an active TIN, all tax returns are filed up to date, no outstanding tax liabilities exist unless under an approved payment plan. You have a history of timely tax payments. So when you make the application, you surely get the approval. So what is the procedure? What are the documents? The documents required for withholding tax exemption application include a formal letter requesting for withholding tax exemption addressed to the Commissioner General, a tax clearance certificate or proof of tax compliance, certificates of incorporation, registration, contracts or agreements, financial statements. So these documents are needed before you apply. This is you're supposed to apply, basically. That's what I'm saying. That for you to become a withholding tax exempt entity must apply, but you need these documents, the documentation, and also to meet the eligibility criteria. So what is the process? For you to apply for exemption, you're going to log into the URA portal using your TIN and password, go to e-services, move to withholding tax exemption application, provide your details, including the nature of your business, the TIN, and the reasons you're seeking for exemption. Review your application for accuracy and submit it. You'll receive an acknowledgement. URA will review your application, verify whatever you've given them, and also compliance. They will assess your eligibility, which is really, most cases you receive this. If you're rejected, you receive reasons why they have rejected your application. You can always appeal. So I'm going to take you through that process. I'm going to take you to the URA portal and show you how you're going to be doing that. Renewal of exemption. To maintain withholding tax exemption status, you need to reapply before the certificate expires and also ensure ongoing compliance with tax obligations to avoid revocation. What are the benefits of being withholding tax exempt? If I go there, I have some questions here. How do you know that some is not withholding agent? How do you know that someone is not a withholding agent? The list of withholding agents is provided on the URA portal. I'm going to show you the list. So if you have made a supply to someone and someone is masquerading as a withholding agent, look at the list. Then you ask them, but I'm not seeing on this list. Why are you withholding my money? Okay. I've heard that some tenants withholding tax of their landlord's rent. Is that right? No, it's not right. You cannot do that. You cannot withhold. How do you do that? They will chase you out of the house. They will chase you out of the. Why would you withhold? Are you a withholding agent? Unless you are. No, 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 no. You're not supposed to do that. The only withholding you can do is on non-resident landlords. Those ones you can withhold. But if a landlord is not, if a landlord is resident, don't touch their rent. It's not right. Okay, don't do that. The landlord will chase you out of the house. I don't. I don't. That is. Those are issues now. You really have guts. How do you withhold? That's not right. So the benefits of withholding tax exemption: improved cash flow, as tax is not withheld at source. So you get your full money if you're exempt. You get your full money. Then simplified reconciliation of accounts. Yeah, it is very easy. Enhanced reputation as a compliant taxpayer. If someone sees that you're withholding tax exempt, they know that you're really, really very, very compliant. You're clean when it comes to taxes, which is a very good thing. People want to deal with such people that are clean when it comes to taxes. So before we go into the return submission procedure, I'm going to take you to the URA portal, show you how you're going to apply the exemption. Most clients, by the way, will pay for you to help them. They really want to pay because people touching your money all the time, that 6%, 15%, it's not a nice one. Yeah, so they will pay. They will pay. Um, would exemptions apply if you are supplying government? Absolutely. Absolutely. If you're supplying government and you're withholding exempt, they will not touch your money. But if you're not, they will withhold because they are designated withholding agents. Okay, just give me 1 minute. I load my portal. I log in. I take you to where you're going to make the application. The client comes to you, comes to your agency, and they want you to apply, help them apply for withholding exemption. How do you do that? So just give me a minute. I load my URA account, and then I show you.